Hello, everyone. It is Thursday evening, and you know what time that is? It is time for not the Howdy Doody show, but the Author's Dilemma show. And probably most of our, well, actually, there's probably a large portion of our audience that probably knows what that Howdy Doody is. But anyway,
That's
all
like
right.
my parents. No.
Yeah, I mean, that
don't
was before
think
my time,
you
but
were
you're still
alive when
aware.
that
But
was
you're
on.
aware of it, so that's all that matters.
Aware of it only because we made fun of it. So.
That's right. All right. Well, welcome to the show. I am J.E. Jack. I write horror, urban fantasy, and thrillers.
And I'm Hyrum Hawks, and I write hard sci-fi and sci-fantasy.
And I'm Jennifer Carr, and I write Christian romantic suspense and clean contemporary romance.
So, for those of you that, well, actually, we didn't even know about it. So, up until last week, I did not realize that this show was not streaming to our Facebook page. It was streaming to our profile, but not our page. So, all this time, this is our 31st episode. Fantastic, by the way.
Yeah.
We've made it half a year. It's amazing that it's been so, like...
We've put up with each other that long.
Yeah, I know. And we still like each other.
Yeah.
Well, at least I hope you guys like me. I don't know. I like you guys.
We won't tell.
Yeah, we won't tell.
Es bueno.
But so we've been dealing with technical difficulties, hoping that is a fine, which I'll have to check later. Hopefully this is streaming to where we want it to stream, because I was wondering, because, we get engagement on our Facebook page.
And on YouTube.
But I've never seen like people on here. I'm like, well, what the heck? And now we know. So hey,
sorry.
We're learning as we go too.
That's
not
right.
Not only in our writing world, but also in the podcasting world.
That's
so hey,
true.
Yes.
So anyway, all right. So what is going on in our business, Hyrum? You tell us.
Well, if you're listening, then you
Love the
won't
hat.
be able to see the difference. Yes. So I've mentioned that I'm trying to figure out the whole branding thing, and if you're watching, you see I'm wearing something a little different. Kind of a cowboy hat, got a leather vest, still got the button-up shirt. Basically, trying to lean into some kind of branding for conventions. Now, part of the reason I actually am slowly becoming a little more outdoorsy, and I do kind of want to, partly because that's enjoyable. I am a farmer in some ways, and so that's my day. My very early mornings, I'm out with the chickens, and then every Saturday I'm irrigating, and you know what? I'm leaning into it because it's actually kind of relaxing. But you kind of got to stand out a little and have some kind of brand image. So I'm trying this. You gotta work on it. So that's why I look funny. As far as writing, I've just been trying to write while still dealing with way too much work. Don't recommend having 3 businesses and trying to write.
Yeah,
It gets in the way.
Life. It's for living, but man, it sure does damper on everything else.
For sure.
Oh, and if you do have multiple businesses or even just one business, don't forget to do your paperwork that is coming. The federal government wants to make sure you're not a crook. There's a bunch of acronyms. The FENCID. If you own a business, they're coming after you if you don't do that. There's big fines. So by the end of the year, I believe.
What is it?
I'm
under a
basically
rock,
if you have a small business, my accountant is the one who informed me of it. You got to fill out some kind of form proving you're not doing federal crimes.
Yes.
I don't remember.
Well, that's for me to know and for them to find out.
It took 2 minutes.
That's exactly right.
So if you have an LLC as an author, that's a form you've got to fill out.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And it's literally just form. Like, it's not costing you anything. But
nope. Just annoyance.
I am not a robot. Like,
yes.
How do you know? Whatever.
All right.
All right.
So, Jen, how about you? What's going on?
So much and so little. I'm in that weird limbo where my book has been sent to the printer, and I'm waiting for my ARC copies so that I can send those to my ARC readers, because, they'll start reading and start reviewing and all of that good stuff. And then, we're a month and a half before publish day. So yay, that's exciting. In my too much time to think, clearly I had time to think because I started a new book series, like writing a new book series yesterday.
Wow. That sounds
so I know, fun times, great, because I needed one more thing to do.
Do you know how many books are going to be in that series, or
3? I have synopsisized. I don't know. I've written synopses for 3 books, and so yeah. And it's a romantic thriller.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Yep.
So what's the thriller part?
It's the
Romancing
mafia.
the Stone. Oh, that's
No,
right. You showed me
this
that.
is the mafia romance.
Oh, mafia. Ooh. Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
If you were paying attention, you could have seen it in the
I
Discord.
did put the synopsis in the Discord.
I'm sorry. It's been a busy time of life right now.
It's fine.
So.
And you'd realize that I did suggest, and if she uses it, I want credit and acknowledgments. I suggested a dragon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
and then the mafia showed up, and oh my gosh, there's a dragon.
Yeah.
I tried to figure out how I could make the Don, like, his name mean dragon, but he's Sicilian and there's not a good word for dragon, and so I was like, we'll see.
His middle name.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't. I'm
It's
trying to
all
think,
good.
but not there. All right.
No.
Well, for me, nothing. There's just, like I said, this has been a very stressful time of life right now, but getting through it. And that's about it. I mean, I'm waiting for the book to be finished editing, so hopefully that'll be done soon. And then I need.
So, do you expedite that by making dinner and stuff?
No, I mean, it's just a lot going on right now. So just not it's just bandwidth and time, and then everything else going on.
Mm-hmm. I understand.
And then I need to. I resigned to the fact that I need to write book 2 of that series, because otherwise, it's just writing standalones. It's doable, but it's really not recommended. And I'm I need to start writing a series, and why. That's the whole point of starting that first one. So I need to go ahead and finish that up, at least a book 2, and then see where it goes from there.
Oh yeah.
But by the way, if you are watching tonight, be sure to say hello. Tell us where you're watching from, and if you have any questions on tonight's topic, which we will get to in a second, we will discuss it. Which, by the way, remind us if we forget. At the end of the show, we will tell you what's coming up in the next couple weeks, because we got a couple of guests that are going to be on the show. When's the next guest? Is it next week or the following week?
Next week, I think.
Okay, so we will.
I don't honestly remember. They were together.
There's people. They'll be here at some point.
Might not talk to them. We'll see.
All right. So, what is going on in the news world? And Jen, we can talk about whatever you want to talk about.
I mean, I'm willing to talk about it.
We don't have to give details. We just give the overview.
I was already hot. My house is hot
for
some reason.
Well, this kind of goes back into the etiquette.
It does. Okay.
So,
it is
part.
I'm just going to say it. And if I make anybody uncomfortable, I'm sorry. But this is what happened. And this happened from, it's a smaller branch press of a larger publishing house. And what happens with authors, sometimes for these small presses and the bigger ones, they will send out a PR box for these authors to ARC readers who have signed up to read whatever book is coming out by this author or that kind of thing. And with these PR boxes, it's usually the book and something to go along with the book. Like in my ARC boxes, I'm sending like stickers that have like I love country music and other little fun country music related things, right? So you have something that goes along with the book. Well, this publishing house decided that when they sent out the book to the ARC readers, they were also going to send out, it's a spicy book, I'll put it that way, and they were going to sent out toys.
Oh my gosh.
They sent out toys
that can be used with the book, I guess.
I mean, I guess whatever you want to do, right? And so a lot of people are up in arms over it. A lot of the ARC readers and people who didn't even get the boxes.
If you signed up for a spicy book.
Okay. But here's the thing. See, that's where you get a little gray area, because some people said, we didn't sign up for this. We didn't consent to receive this. Like the product, the book, yes, the product, no. And just because you read that doesn't mean you need that. And so, or that you don't. Also, a couple of readers opened the boxes in front of their moms. And so,
I would be curious if...
I would have died.
I mean, obviously, those toys are for 18 or older, I'm sure.
Right.
And I'm sure there had to be some...
Well, I would also think the books, you would have to say that you were 18 or older. Doesn't mean you are, but I would assume that to be an ARC reader, you would have to be an adult. I don't know.
Yeah, you should.
I mean, you know,
Especially-
that's the classic. You know, I'm reminded of a scripture, and not to get religious, but it's just be sure your sins will find you out.
Can you imagine? You're sitting there with your mom, and all of a sudden it's like, oh crap. That would have happened to me. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, that would have been me. That happened to me.
No. Again, it's slight deviation. And my favorite is where it says that the world's sins will be proclaimed upon the rooftops. Turns out,
I just don't want my sins to be proclaimed.
The world doesn't need help. They do it willingly and boldly.
Well, okay, so
From the rooftops.
Yeah.
and also the book would come even if you looked on Amazon, because you have to click when you write that kind of material, is this material for 18 and older? So I would think that there would have to be consent in that form or fashion.
Mm-hmm.
But people were angry. Oh, they were up in arms about it. And
You see, sometimes I wonder, like,
I know.
how much of it is faux anger,
Yeah.
and how much of it is just, you know, because like I said, I'm getting so sick and tired of social media and the fact that, you know, everybody is so quick to jump on the bandwagon just to provide content.
Yeah.
Honestly, I bet you 80% don't even give a crap. They're just
Right.
saying just because it's like, oh, I have something to say now. I have
Yeah.
something to put on TikTok because, good Lord, I need to put 2 or 3 videos a day. And so sometimes I'm wondering how sincere. I could be wrong. That's my hot take on it.
Well,
But-
it's a fair take, because I mean, half those people were probably jealous they didn't get the box, you know, because not everybody on the list is gonna get the box. And
Oh, I wanted a
so-
toy too.
Where's my toy? I want one.
It's
And
like a
I
Happy
don't
Meal,
know.
but not quite. No.
I mean,
Oh,
just saying. Anyway, devolving there, but
yeah.
oh gosh. Oh, well, and there was also the whole point, like a lot of people were also upset because this same small press, they've already had, like, people were already boycotting this press because they had somebody on their staff make Islamophobic statements online, and they got up in arms about that. So immediately it was boycott. Don't read anything from them. Don't buy books that are, you know, printed by them and that kind of thing, which, I'm sorry, that's exhausting to go through and figure out who I don't care who published it. If it's a book I want to read, I'm going to read it. And so
Right.
that's hard too. So they already had some struggle. So people were already mad when that name was mentioned anyway. So
Well, and then right, and then that kind of goes back to the whole, well, how serious is it? Is it just,
right,
you know, jumping on the bandwagon because it's the cool thing to do right now,
exactly.
or I don't know? Interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, so there's that
Well, that was
new topic.
yeah, yeah.
Etiquette.
Yes.
It does lead into today's topic.
That totally threw me off what we were going to talk tonight about. So tonight we are talking about etiquette and etiquette for authors, and that means a lot of different things. You know, from reaching out for collaboration to reaching out for, hey, getting on a podcast maybe, or
And-
whatever. Go ahead. What?
No, that was a hint.
Oh, hint.
hint.
Wink, 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 wink. Nudge, nudge. Know what I mean? Know what I mean?
We've got a good number of people as guests, but we have more slots coming up.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we also, well, yeah.
But we do screen it because there is
Right.
a certain etiquette level that we expect from guests, from the point that they reach out to us to the point where they are on the show and that kind of thing. So we
Right.
and we can talk about that. Yeah.
Right. So, yes. So we're talking about etiquette, and honestly, you know, that conversation that we had prior would kind of go into that. Like, you know, what are you serving your people? And this also kind of goes along with Hyrum's brand. You know, what you are as a writer, what you are as an artist. You know, whatever you put out in the world, that's going to be your brand. And
Yes, it will.
and as far as that's concerned, how you deal with people, that's also going to be your brand as well.
Yep.
And so that's why etiquette is so important. And that's why we decided to discuss it this evening. And like I said, if you have any questions on this topic, be sure to put it in the comments and we will discuss it. Or you can send us an email and we will bring it up at a future episode. So, Jen, what are your thoughts on etiquette?
Well, if you're talking about, if you think about like the PR boxes and that kind of thing, I mean, obviously the biggest thing, and this is true for any of it, know your audience, right? Know who you are working with and who you are talking to and who you're reaching out to. I imagine that the people who are most embarrassed by receiving those boxes are the ones who opened them in front of somebody else, or you know, something like that, where there was a personal embarrassment involved, whereas after the fact they probably didn't think much of it, and everybody who was up in arms about it was a different story. So they probably did know their audience pretty
Mm-hmm.
well, and so knowing your audience, I think that will take you straight away to where you want to go.
It would have totally bypassed the issue if it had been part. It's like, we would like to give a special gift that's naughty,
Yeah.
and therefore be careful where you open it. If you don't want that, don't sign up or let us know.
Yeah, like
Right.
not safe for work. You put an NSFW on a package, people will know that it needs to be opened with discretion. That's what it is.
Not with vigor, unless you're that kind of person.
Or go ahead, whatever you float your boat.
Yeah. So what other forms of etiquette can we talk about this evening? We could talk about email, like reaching out, first contacts. So
First contact.
Yeah.
first contact is not, hey, are you a writer?
That is a quick way to get blocked. Just saying.
Yes. Yes.
I noticed you're an author.
Yes.
My profile says Jennifer Carr, author. Gave that away.
Yes, I especially love the scammers. I don't, but
Right.
some of them are laughable.
They
Like
can
we
be
got one.
amusing.
We got one for the author's dilemma, and all you gotta do is look at our page and see that obviously we do interviews, we do shows. Well, maybe not if they're at our page, not our
Tonight,
profile.
yes. Before tonight, no.
Yeah. But anyway, it was funny because like, oh, I see that you might be an author. Are you an author? And it's like, no, we're a podcast. Oh, well, I'm also a marketing, and it's like, okay, brother.
All things to all people, are we?
Yeah.
No.
All right. So my light is doing the disco
I was wondering what was going on over there.
Trying to give me
and
a
it's out.
seizure.
All right. Now I'm
excited.
sort of in the dark, but that's okay. I guess my
That's
light
okay.
just died.
Well, you are a paranormal author. It's your brand.
Who knows? You know what? Maybe someone's trying to get in touch with me from the other side. Who knows? That would be the way my life is going in the 20s. That could possibly be.
So etiquette of reaching out to authors is one thing. But most of our listeners are going to be authors. And
Right.
I think the etiquette the other way around is also good. Like, newsletters can be fraught with peril. If you're sending newsletters that just annoy, well, first off, people are going to unsubscribe, but again, that'll go in your brand. There's a great book called Newsletter Ninja.
That's a good one.
I recommend it. It'll teach you the etiquette of newsletters in detail, and it will help you make your newsletter more effective. I have not finished doing what I read, as you would guess, since I have not gotten into marketing fully. But that is the kind of thing. When you engage with people, you've got to engage by the rules of society. In some ways, authors are pushing boundaries. I mean, we write things that's how the world advances in many ways, is creatives pushing boundaries. But you're not going to get very many readers if you're pushing the boundaries outside the book. Look at how controversial people are, like Stephen King or J.K. Rowling, who do not like each other, and both of whom have made big mistakes on social media with etiquette, in part because that's where they're contending, on social media.
Oh, yeah.
And so I don't like how either of them are behaving. Whatever their politics, it's more of their etiquette that's turned me off from both of them as authors. Their brand has become synonymous with arguing in social media.
Ugh.
Right. Well, I think there's a couple things to be said for that. One is I took a marketing class a few years ago, and some people, they create a brand on that. Like, they are the pioneers.
Yep.
And so they're reaching into new lands. And what happens to pioneers? They get shot full of arrows by natives that don't like it. So there's that. So that's interesting. Yeah. But at the same time, going back, there's a difference between just being yourself and then like just being obnoxious.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
I'm sure there's some people that won't like me because I'm pretty, what you see is what you get. I'm not really going to change. You're going to get me the same in email, in conversation. I will tell it to you straight. I'll be kind and nice about it, but I'm not going to sway who I am. I mean, I'll be cordial. and
Right.
have courtesy. But yeah, I don't know.
Well, and I think being authentic, like that's you.
Right.
That's who you are.
That's my brand.
Right. Exactly. Take it or leave it. That's what you get.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know. But I do think sometimes you do have to temper it though, because
Hmm.
we all have filters like for a
Right.
reason. And so we should definitely use them. And you do a good job, because we know you offline and we know you online. And
That's
you are
right.
very
That's
good
right.
at
There's-
using your
there's-
filter.
There's and that too. I am myself, but I'm also professional.
Right.
And there's a time and place for everything. And
Right.
that's another thing too. It's like, know your audience. If you know that half your audience doesn't like to talk about a certain thing, hey, maybe you shouldn't probably talk about it.
Right. Exactly.
Because at that point, it's not really about, I read a fantastic book when I was a young Marine, and it was How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic book. In fact, I highly recommend people should read that probably yearly. I don't. I probably need to read it again. But that taught me so much about human interaction and, how to deal with different situations. Because at the end of the day, what is the goal of the conversation? Is it to win,
Yes.
or is it to find connection? And the problem is most people are in conversations to win instead of finding connection.
Yeah.
And so anyway, that book really kind of opened my eyes a lot to that. And so, what is the whole goal of this interaction? Is it to make friends, or is it to be pompous and lose a connection?
Yeah.
Can't
that's
we
really
do both?
well.
Well,
Yeah,
he says,
you could.
well, he just goes right off. Well, I think there's engaging graciously,
Right.
and just being respectful. That goes, and respecting boundaries. I think that's a big thing too, is that we don't see a lot of people respecting boundaries. They expect you to just, whatever they ask for, you're supposed to give it. And that is something that I'm like, ooh, no, like you can, I finally got past the point where readers would ask, hey, can I review your book? Can I review your book? And I would be like, yeah, sure. And then they would never review it and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So there are some boundaries there that
Well, that's yes, I've had people do that before, and then I just don't follow up with them again.
Yeah.
Like on the next
Yeah.
book, they ask again. I'm like, I just don't follow up with them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
etiquette.
it's just, it's funny. Last week, of course, all of you guys that are listening and watching this, y'all weren't here for my jokes, but I was gonna bring in the salad fork, and because we're gonna go over etiquette, so I was like, hey, why don't we just go through the whole?
All the etiquette.
Yeah.
I'd fall really
But-
short on that one, but
Yeah, but jokes aside, I mean, it really comes to there's a time and place for everything, and
Right.
what foot are you placing forward?
for sure.
Like if you're going to go to a black tie event, you shouldn't show up in jeans, and that's kind of how this conversations online are. Like if you're going to go into a group and you're going to throw a 2-ton pebble into this conversation that you really honestly probably shouldn't even be a part of, how's that look? But-
Yeah.
Well, I like that. So Jen has a really great document she made, and general etiquette has a list of 5 things, and honestly, these are what we're talking about.
Okay.
So one of them is stay humble, and one of them is keep egos in check. And really, it is one thing. I will say that there is a certain amount. If your brand is being the cocky, know-it-all type, okay, you're probably going to not do that, but you will. As long as you're accepting that you're going to alienate a lot of people, because if you're violating certain rules of etiquette, you will alienate a part of your potential audience.
Oh, yeah.
That's not to say that won't earn you a different audience. It just might not be the audience you necessarily really want. Like if you're gonna be the guy that's out there just saying whatever pops into his head just to be controversial, you'll get people who are gonna read those things. But honestly, how many of those people read all that much?
Right.
That's true. Well, then it also kind of comes to, not only courtesy in dealing with others, but then dealing with people that are dealing with you as far as like critiques.
Ooh,
And,
yeah.
and that's kind of tough too. Because there's been times where people comment and my initial reaction is to, oh my gosh,
You don't know.
to write a
Lose the
scathing,
filter.
to write I will cut this tie,
Mhm.
and thankfully, I have a wife that has a level head in those situations. And she's like, well, why don't you just wait a little bit? And I do. And once the emotion and the just the sheer like aggravation is over, then I think about it, and it's like at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. And then 9 times out of 10, those people are genuinely meaning well. It's just the problem, well, and that's the problem that we have when it comes to text and emails.
So quick.
It's there's no voice inflection. There's no there's a difference between this is the worst than, well, this is kind of bad, but or whatever. There's voice inflection. There's ways to say things.
Yes.
But then again, some people just can't write, and you got to read.
That's true too.
Well,
yeah, being able to.
I think. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I was just going to say, being able to accept feedback graciously.
Yes,
that's huge. Yeah.
And part of what I've got a life rule that I followed mostly, and that is that if something makes me mad, I don't send the reply till I've slept on it. Mm-hmm. And if I still want to send it the next morning, then I check with my wife if it makes sense to send it. And if she's like, yeah, you can send that, then now it's gone through 2 big filters, and then I can send it and tell the doctor he's a moron or whatever it is I've decided. We've been doing a lot of doctor's appointments. I called the latest doctor. I said he had the bedside manner of a rabid chicken, but I didn't send it to him. But it was accurate.
Can chickens get rabies?
I don't care.
Squirrels.
It's
sorry.
an image. So, no, I think that it does come down to the staying humble and being open to learning, because like sometimes I've gotten feedback where it's like that feedback is a little harsh, but at the same time I can learn something from it. Because honestly, my first book, I got some interesting feedback from another scientist. He is a space engineer like me, and he said this could have been solved using normal technology. I'm like, true. I didn't want it to be, because I am a sci-fi nerd and that's how they do it in the book. But, there are sometimes clearly, from a technical standpoint, he's 100% correct.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've defaulted to the, if in doubt, make it more awesome, and it works. But sometimes you gotta, be humble and listen and just be glad that people are willing to give you feedback.
That means they've read your stuff at least.
Yeah. Well,
but you have heard of me.
You have heard of me.
Quite possibly the worst I've ever heard or read, but you have read it.
That's right.
Yeah, there's a lot to. I mean, there's a lot to unpack, but at the same time, there's not. At the end of the day, it's really just about the kind of the golden rule. Treat others as you'd like to be treated. Do you want someone to email you out of the blue and expect things? No, no one does.
Right.
That's not normal. But if you want to email me and have a conversation first, and then you once we develop a relationship, a friendship, or a conversation, not in the first two back and forths, and then hey, if you have a business or something, maybe we can talk. But if it's a cold,
good example,
mm-hmm.
Writing excuses. Back in the first season, I think they talked about how they got their first. Dan Wells and Brandon Sanderson talked about how they got their editor, and they got it at a con, and they both managed to get the same editor, and they got their first books published. Great, so that's wonderful. But the way they did it, they didn't do a cold here, will you read my manuscript? No, they asked him questions about him. They did the they got to know him, and after a while, he wanted to read their manuscript because he'd found out they're cool guys.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, if you do the due diligence. That was another wonderful thing that I learned in, how to win friends and influence people. 90% of the time, you can walk away from a conversation and not say a thing, and people will consider you a great conversationalist if you're always asking questions about them, because people love to talk about themselves.
Yes.
And so, if you can
2/3 of the jobs.
Yeah.
Job interviews that go well is when I get the interviewer to do most of the talking.
And so that kind of goes back, talking about doing your research before you go and seeing who was all going to be at a certain event. Let's talk about etiquette at the event.
Ooh, yeah.
A lot of it's the same, but the number one rule that's the hardest is curb your enthusiasm. and this is hard for people like me because we are very enthusiastic, but I mean, it's easier for people with naturally calm. But if you're meeting someone who's kind of a hero, or they have potential to change your life by picking up your book, you're going to be excited and you're going to be nervous. Plan beforehand, breathe, whatever it takes for you to relax, and don't do the fanboy or fangirl thing. Take it down a notch. That's it. It's a hard one for most people.
Right, because at the end of the day, they're people too. And do you want someone like the best thing I can give as far as advice is, put yourself in their shoes. Do you want someone that's acting like you, acting that way? I mean,
yeah, well, I'd love if somebody fangirled over me, but whatever.
Yeah, I'd be like,
just saying.
I don't know.
The first time, maybe the second, but
that's true.
Well, no, I mean, heck, I still find it hard. Like when people give me compliments, I'm just like,
yeah.
When people wish me happy birthday, I'm like, yay, I didn't die again.
Yeah,
another year. I also think, though, if you are an author at an event and readers are coming to your table, that's a whole different ballgame, too, because I have seen, I have done events where authors will sit there. The last one I did in Tuscaloosa, there were authors who already knew each other from other places, and readers would come in and walk around. Well, we are, like Rob and I have done enough networking events where you are up and talking to the people. If you want them at your table, you have to. Whereas these guys would sit and talk to each other about who knows what, and their stuff would just be sitting there and people would look and then walk by. That is not a way to pull people into your work, to get to know you. Do I want people harassing me when I walk in? No, but would I like them to say, hey, do you want to see what I have to offer? Or what do you like to read? You ask them that question and immediately you're at an author event. They like to read, obviously.
And here again, it goes back to asking questions. If you ask, hey, what do you like? Da, 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 da. Oh, okay, well, that's cool. And then, oh, by the way, well, this is kind of like that, but whatever.
You make them feel special. They will remember.
Come up with a blurb and come up with a little catchy pitch. Blurb that in one sentence makes them want to hear more. Like if you say that this book is about a world where it's like, you got to go and practice. You can't if there's a like, or if any kind of just anything in there that's just, you got to rip that one sentence off in a heartbeat. And then be ready for them to say, yeah, that does sound interesting, to then give them the full elevator pitch. Because in one sentence, you should be able to say the feeling of your book. Like mine, I'm still working on it, but like my work in progress, it's The Martian meets, and I'm working on it. Like, what is the detail?
And it kind of goes back, also not just talking to them, but eye contact. Just
enthusiasm.
Greet them.
Not too much.
Hey.
Especially if they're looking at your table. Obviously,
hey, how you doing? Where are you from?
Invite them in. And then, or if you have somebody with you, like,
come to my little web.
Come on in. It's fun. We have cookies. But if your spouse is there with you and he starts up a conversation, chances are it won't be about books, because, he had a guy like, oh, where does your son go to college? Oh, is he looking for an internship? And I'm like, no, wait, what are you doing? We got so off topic. But it was great, though, because she did sign up for my newsletter and she stayed on my newsletter. So that was nice.
That's true. And then, but then also kind of goes back to that whole, and you have it on here, is, be authentic, but also be professional too. Like, you don't want to show them the person behind the curtain as if they don't know you.
I mean, you have your author persona.
Don't dump. Don't info dump your real self. Give them your persona.
Boundaries. We have boundaries.
No paranormal relationships.
Oh, dear, no. And one more thing I also kind of wanted to think, we were talking about the newsletter and stuff. When you're sending out marketing materials, don't be like, buy my stuff, read my stuff, buy my stuff, read my stuff. Like, that's spammy. Don't be spammy. That's bad. Nobody
Links at the bottom are fine, but the beginning's got to be interesting. And I said paranormal and I meant parasocial, so that, I don't know.
Like,
both are wrong. Both are wrong.
I know, I heard it. I was like,
but if you're getting paranormal, please talk to me. I want story ideas.
Yes.
Parasocial relationships, that's a whole nother topic.
You do you, boo.
Yeah. So let's talk about marketing.
Do we have to?
So obviously,
The 4-letter word.
it kind of goes back to what we were just talking about, though, is not repeatedly spamming people with your stuff. Like,
Yeah.
if I get an email, what I think it's like 1 in 4 should be marketing, like 1 out of every 3 or 1 out of every, like 70% should be something else, and then like 30%, yeah, sure, because hey, you got to pay the bills, and people understand that. But if they're always doing it, and so, but that also comes back to also your Facebook page and your other like things that you have. Like, are you always trying to get people, to engage? It's one thing to ask an open-ended question and getting people engaged, but one thing I can't stand, and some people do it, and once or twice is fine, but if it's like, and there's been pages I've been a part of where I've just kind of got off of it because it was annoying. Like every day they would post something and then they put at followers where it would tag me, and I'm thinking, oh, this is it's not for me.
Yes.
Okay.
Listen, I'm
blocked all of those.
I'm going to have a conversation with my PA because she's been doing that, or my VA, because I'm like, I don't want to be tagged in those things. I don't want somebody else to tag me like that. Please stop tagging my people like that, because yeah, it's a thing and it's spammy. Don't do it.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's just, like.
And I apologize to anybody who's been a victim of my page.
No, but it's one. I mean, I wasn't talking about you, but but
it's true. It's happening. Yeah.
But it's one of those things like, once in a 6-month period, like I can understand if you're releasing a book.
Right.
Hey, you know what? Follow everyone. I'm totally cool with that. But if it's like special of the day,
it's gonna get,
or even special of the week, I don't need that. I don't need that notification.
Nope. People will block it really fast.
Once a month is the max I would personally be willing to tolerate.
Oh yeah.
Like I said, I think it would for me it would have to be something like a very special event, like a new book coming out. And if you're prolific enough where you put out a book a month, which that's
good for you.
Man, that's fantastic. But honestly, even then, me personally, I will probably never use the @ followers just because that's just me. Yeah. But
I'm just talking newsletters. I wouldn't do more than once a month.
Oh, newsletters?
Whew,
some people.
I don't know how you
Facebook. I've given up on.
More than once a month is. Oof.
Newsletters, once a month. I've heard of some people do 2 a month, and I'm like, man, that's really good for them, not for me.
You got to be interesting if you're doing twice a month.
That's the thing.
I better read.
Well, it's not just interesting, but you also have to be like. Not only do you have to be interesting, but you also have to be interested in doing it.
Yes, and you have to plan ahead for that. I can't. Oof.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure those are the kind of people that have things like already set in motion 6 months out. Like, okay, on this month, these are the topics, or I'm not there yet.
Nope.
Don't leave people hanging. That's another one. If you get an email or you're wanting to be a part of something and you reach out and you want, hey, I'd like to talk about this, and then you ghost them. Well, don't be surprised if you don't hear from them.
That's true.
Ever again.
Yep. That's right. For sure.
All right. This is a really good etiquette thing that you made, Jen. Are you going to use that? Are you going to put that in the show notes? Or are you going to put like a link to that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
way more than we can talk about.
Yeah. I mean, really, there's a lot of great information here. A lot of it's common sense, but if you don't know, you don't know. So this is why we have.
Well, there's some of it that doesn't seem to be like, be honest.
Oh right. Oh my gosh.
Have you seen the internet?
Right.
I can't stand. No. I can't stand people that can't be honest. Ooh. Like, you ask them a question, and instead of answering it, they will jump around and not really answer the question. And it's like, you're wasting my time.
Exactly. Yeah.
Anyway.
I just got blurry.
That's okay.
Sorry.
And we haven't been drinking, so.
I know. I'm seeing it too. It's happening. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Well, we'll include that in the well, I can't even talk. We will include the link in the show notes. Sure. And if you have any questions on that in the future, be sure to reach out to us at authorsdilemma@gmail.com, or you can reach out to us on Facebook or wherever. Well, no, there's only 2 places. But you can listen to us anywhere. But anyway. All right. Does anybody have any last minute things?
What's coming up next week?
That's right. Yes. What is coming up next week?
We do not have a guest next week, but on August 29th, Bill Burkhart, he is an author who has published a couple of books, but he is a fantastic I would say, a motivational speaker. And so Bill is going to be joining us on the last Thursday of the month.
Oh, perfect. Well, we look forward to that.
That'd be great.
All right. We enjoyed our time with you this evening, and we're going to enjoy our time with you next week as we enjoyed your time being with you last week. So, yeah, I was trying to go somewhere with that. My brain wasn't keeping up. So, all right, guys, appreciate it. Have a great week. See you next time. God bless.
Bye.